Technology, man. Technology is out to get us.
It really is. And I'm like, what little thing did you want us to do this time?
Right?
Yeah.
What was the fun thing this time? Oh. Hopefully, maybe it's working now. It looks like that's possible. So we will see what is what. Because, yay! Guess what?
We're there!
Yay!
So apparently third time's the charm. And Kat still has some new tricks to learn. And oh, hello there. That's the one problem with this dress. So we did get all gussied up, and we did get our cocktails and mocktails, if you will. So woohoo! Cheers! Oh, cheers. Emily.
Absolutely.
Oh, no. Emily will be back. So I'm half of Fibre Variety, our Kat, and Emily, the other half, will be back. And we're here with Natalia and Sara, the founding creators, members, gurus of YarnCon, the almighty Chicago maker, yarny. I'm coming up with all kinds of things here. I can't.
That's all correct.
But basically, one of my favorite shows to get to go to, whether it's virtual or in person. So, yay, Emily's back.
Yay.
So thank you so much for joining us and getting gussied up with us.
Definitely. Any excuse to dress these days, right?
I've been missing it personally. Yay. Okay,
yes.
Cool. Now we've all got our drinks. So cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
We're gonna do this, Emily.
Clink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year in person.
Absolutely.
My goodness. I keep saying that, and I hope we're not jinxing it, Faye.
No. At this point, no.
Are we jinxing?
Or just no one will be left on the planet.
Right.
It could go either way.
We started small. We can fake it.
Absolutely.
We can all fake it. I think that's one
Every year.
It's true.
Every year there's a point where we just say it's gonna come together. It always does. And then it does. So
I do feel like our motto is fake it till we make it.
And then the weekend's over and you're like, see, that wasn't so bad, right?
Right? Yeah.
It's so true.
It's true. And now anyone who goes to YarnCon will actually get to see Sara and I in one spot as opposed to running back and forth down the aisles.
Right.
This weekend, I was like, when is
I
that?
know how to sit still.
So for people who don't know what YarnCon is, how did you decide that this was going to be the rest of your life? I mean, how did you come up with this event?
Well, Sarah's the origin. She's got the origin story.
But I don't think it would have happened without our friendship, though. I really don't. We, were hanging out and both knitters and enjoying being knitters and fiber enthusiasts together. And I did have an idea for, because there was stitches and larger shows, but they were always out in the suburbs. We both lived in the city. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a yarn show in the city that you could get to either on public transportation or whatever, easily in the middle of town. And we just kind of went from there. And the first couple of years we had local yarn stores were able to sell, but then we realized that the coolest thing about what we could do would be to have an outlet for the independent producers and yarn dyers and jewelry makers and everybody. And it just grew from there. I mean, it really was organic. We just kind of every year we're like, oh, what can we do? What worked last year? Let's do it right next year.
Nice.
Yeah, our first year in 2007, we rented out the auditorium in a Park District field house, the Pulaski Park field house. And I was already familiar in it because I was selling jewelry at the DIY craft show there, DIY trunk show, sorry. And so I knew the space and I knew it could hold, about 25, 30 vendors in it pretty comfortably. So we went for it, and it was all like street parking. And I mean, for anyone who's vended, you're like scurrying to get a good park on the street to be able to get your stuff in there. And we had to do everything, move all the tables in place, clean every little bit up afterwards. It was amazing because people actually came.
We had to sweep and take up with the tape at the end of it. I mean, because it was just Park Field House. It's a city used space.
Yeah, we had to move every single table and chair beginning and end. It was amazing. It's like the custodian there just kind of hang out and be like, "You done yet?" We're like, could you move something?" He's like, "Nope."
Remember what the last year was that you guys were there? Because that was the first year I ever vended. Was
2011. 2011 was the
really
last year. And then we took 2012 off because that year was a hot mess, but also because we decided let's move it to a 2-day show. And we started shopping around. The place we wanted was no good for the fall because at the Plumbers Union, they watch the football games in that big hall that we use. And
They have
so they're
plumber
like, well, God,
watching parties.
Sunday with a football game. I mean, it really is the Plumber Union Hall. It's a union hall and they really do use it. And they rent it out the weekends they don't. And so
beautiful.
Such a cool
we're
space.
like, maybe the spring is better. There's no football.
Oops, wait, I just did something.
But yeah, so the jump was the reason we moved from fall to spring was mostly to accommodate the football schedule for the Plumbers Union. Because once we went in there, we fell in love with that space. You know, it was such a great space to grow into.
I love
Almost
it.
intimidating.
It's kind of what starts everything off, you know. It really is usually what kicks off show season for me is participating in it in some way. So it's always kind of fun to go to Chicago after being stuck inside all winter, or you know, by the time I get to go to Chicago again, I'm stuck inside a lot more. So
It's such a gamble weekend too. Will it be sunny?
We're gonna go. It's a long winter. We
Yeah.
were stuck inside for a very, very, very long,
Um,
strangely sunny and warm winter. We could always go for the red green version with Ranger Gord. He never mind. Sorry. He counted
it's okay.
179 days in the year, and he's like, "That's so strange. It explains why Christmas was warm and sunny sometimes." Anywho, so I mean, as someone who going from, and I love the festivals at the Park Fairgrounds. I love them, but going from those to the Plumbers Union Hall, the bathrooms are so nice.
Oh, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of our first year at the Plumbers Union, as soon as the last vendor left, Sarah, Lindy, and I got down on the floor to start peeling up all the tape, and the custodian runs out. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We got it." We're like, "But we put all this tape on the floor. We haven't moved it yet." He's like, "You're paying us the big bucks." He's like, "You're paying for this service. Go home."
We couldn't believe it. We could not believe that.
I was just like, like, I have to move the tables. He's like, "You paid for a table service. We will move the tables. We pick up the tape." He's like, "Honestly, you guys are the cleanest people to rent the space we've ever seen. Your vendors are actually respectful. They love us because we clean up for ourselves." But I couldn't believe it after years of peeling up every bit of that blue tape off the floor. I'm taping everything.
Something changed, and we thought, okay, whatever we have to do, we have to stay in this. This is the best venue ever.
Yeah.
We've been knitting stuff for Jimmy for years now. Jimmy, the main custodian, I'm sure you've all. After that year, I was like, what do you wear? Do you need a hat? Because I'll make you one over the winter.
Jimmy and Alex it was, and now we're working with Alex's son. And so, Alex retired, and now we have Alex's son. And it's just a family affair. It's a wonderful place. Love this.
Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it when I was like, "You're Alex's son."
Oh, that's so cool.
It is. It really is.
I had no idea, and I was like, "They're so nice." And I
Oh
always
my gosh, yeah.
we've been when at Fibers has been in the corner when you come into the right where it's an emergency exit, and we have like our little curtain of doom to make sure there's an exit. But it works because it works for us. And he always comes and he's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Oh no, here's our plan." He's like, "Right then." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah, they're cool.
It's such a nice staff. It was when we had to cancel last year, we were a little bit like, "Oh gosh, this is really close to the event." They were just like, "Oh no. We know there's a pandemic. Don't you even worry. We will see you as soon as this is over." I mean, they couldn't have been sweeter about the whole situation.
That's so great to hear, because I know some other shows that I was doing, their event venues were not understanding, and it was like they had to wait until the state actually declared a state of emergency before they would even start refunding their money.
Oh yeah.
Like, they were on the hook for it, so they had to wait. There were a couple different events that I was supposed to participate in that were like that. And I mean, you guys were right at the beginning, so it was like when you canceled, I was like, whoa, this is real now. Like,
We were the first to outright cancel.
But we saw, we talked about it a lot beforehand, and we really thought, this is it. This is the writing is on the wall. This is not going to happen. And if we tried to, I think we were able to give vendors like a month notice, basically. We canceled YarnCon at the beginning of March, like 4th or 5th of March.
It was more than
and it was happening the next month. And we had some people who said we were overreacting or whatever, but currently clearly not.
Well,
you know, living in Chicago,
it kind of felt that way, you know, but that was why I said it kind of was like, oh, this is real.
And I think why it felt early to a lot of people and not to me is being in Chicago, I was starting to hear a lot of local news about community spread. And I was like, this isn't going to be okay. We can't risk it. Even if they didn't shut down, we were just like, personally, responsibly for our community, we can't do this if this is already happening in Chicago. And then everyone leaves Chicago to the rest of the Midwest and the country and spreads it. I couldn't, no, we couldn't do it. And so I was hearing a lot of this news more than Sarah was. So I'm like panicking, going, we are gonna be doomed.
Yeah. Well, Chicago, being such a big city, densely populated, it was gonna be worse there.
Well, with everybody coming to Chicago for it too, because you didn't want those things to be crossing.
Exactly. It was just we're such a hub, and YarnCon is in such a spot that it was just going to spread out. I mean, it turns out it was done for us. By the time YarnCon rolled around, we would have had to. But this gave vendors time to find something else to do if they had to, if they were in a community, because we didn't know yet. No one knew how this was going to go yet.
Well, and because it was so early, you guys didn't really have a chance or even like the advantage of seeing what other people were doing as they pivoted toward online. Right. So, you know, I was really glad to see that you decided to this year. So,
well, and I will say that actually, Tanya Hellman from Maybe a Crafted, she's watching, and she said, you canceled your early brilliant. And I'm like, yep, that's true. It's so true. And I was actually
with us for several years. We love her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see her new yarn, her new Farm to Fleece. Very nice.
I actually, I have not gotten to touch it yet, but I can't wait to touch it because it's a welcome home yarn and I love it.
Yes.
So
I love all the working with local farmers. Anything that I just love that.
So good.
I'm also super excited did you see all the colors?
Yeah.
I took a peek. Yes. I was also looking at those new little, the little sort of notions bag she's just made. And because she's right. They're just the right size for like a little kit in your bag with masks and sanitizer. And when that, put our notions in.
It'll fit in my bag.
Oh, fancy.
Even in your beaded clutch?
It was Steve's grandma's. And I realized I'm like, oh, look, it fits perfectly. I'm ready to go now to the basement. And I'm here in here because I'm like, I'm going to the cocktail hour. And my kids are like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, stuff.
Like the grown-ups are talking.
I think they might be used to it by now, honestly.
I'm sure they are.
Well, my mother-in-law popped by unexpectedly right before we were supposed to start too. And I texted Joe and I was all like dressed up upstairs. I actually was wearing something different and I changed and like hid that I was dressed up because I was too embarrassed to explain why I was dressed up. And then it turned out Joe had told her that I was going to be recording anyway and everything. So I was like, oh crap. No, because the dog's barking and everything else. I mean, the house just went into chaos the minute it knew that things were going to be happening, I guess.
I guess Tanya has some of the notions bags for giveaways for this weekend too, just so you know.
Awesome.
So I'm really excited to see stuff this weekend because I mean, not that there haven't been virtual events, but like this is our special people and I miss our crew. And so I'm really, really glad you guys could join us tonight.
Yay!
Because it's been so fun to get to hang out on Zoom and I'm like,
oh my gosh, right? I think that's the hardest part about missing the live shows is can we shop from each other still? No, well, yes, we can, but I can't, walk up and squish the yarn and smell it while talking to you.
Yes, that's true. I will say though, I think I've had longer conversations with both of you this week than I usually do the entirety of YarnCon.
Absolutely.
So there's a plus side to this because we get to interact and it's not just
I know, right?
from 200 yards.
Sometimes it's like I get the quick hug in the beginning and then the quick hug at the end, but then this has been a great week.
It's like grown-up conversation talking stuff.
Wow.
That's what inspired us to start that vendor breakfast on the Sundays, is that after on YarnCon, the one-day show for a while, we were like, man, we never get to talk to anybody. And we have this really gorgeous bar in this building that we're renting. So
It's so pretty.
So speaking of which, next year, are you going to do a cocktail hour? You know, at the bar in the basement, but I mean, that would be really cool. But.
Well, the liquor license in Chicago issue.
Right.
So
I mean, the vendor, the venue, the hall has a liquor. I don't know what that would mean for us though.
Insurance.
Insurance would go probably double.
Mocktail.
Mocktail hour.
We're already 50% there, so you know. Mocktail hour.
we were planning for last year to have a Friday night kickoff cocktail hour at the Crown Plaza. Just a little bit up. So with any luck, we'll still be able to do that when we go live again. And it'll be such a celebration. I mean, can you imagine? Well, after this long.
It's gonna be such a party.
Yeah.
I'm off track though.
It will be.
It will be a huge party.
Yeah, it's going to be reunion time. It's going to be crazy.
Oh my God. It's going to be so fun. There'll be so much hugging, like everyone.
I think every festival next year is going to be half tears. It's gonna, we're all going to be like, I miss you.
at least half.
And the cool thing, honestly, I want to give a shout out to the Crown Plaza because at first we were really worried about what was going to happen with them, and they have been great, and they just have put our reservation that we had from 2020 to 2022.
Yeah. They've been really cooperative with us. It's been nice.
You know, I really feel like that everything that has happened in the last year plus has really shown a lot of, I don't know, I almost like humane treatment of each other, but it's so much more than that. Camaraderie of kind of holding each other up and being like, yep, we're here, so we're gonna make it.
It's a big shared experience. Yeah.
I mean, how often does the whole planet go through something crazy like this? It really is like 100-year event, right? It's crazy.
I love hearing the birds chirping behind you.
I know, that is so good.
Quality to it.
The cardinals are just like, I'm in.
It is so there are 2 male cardinals and they are like, no, it's my tree. No, it's my tree. So
I love that about this
I'll
time.
climb the tree, Sarah. I'll be like, no, it's my tree, Birdie.
But yeah, I could go inside if that would be better. Sorry.
No, cardinals are awesome. I love birds.
That, Sarah, it was your fault that YarnCon happened. So how did that?
I remember, I will say, I remember walking down. Okay, so Natalia and I also signed up for some like how to run a business workshop.
Oh yes, the Women's Business Development.
I could not think of it. The Women's Business Development Center or something like that in Chicago. And we went to some workshops and we learned how to write a business plan and all this stuff. But I mean, we didn't write a business plan, but we clearly, because we're still
learn how though. What if you wanted to?
I remember walking across the street and I'm like, I think we should call it YarnCon. And she was like, yes. And that's how the name just happened. So yeah.
And I remember you telling me about stitches because I'd actually heard of it, but never been to one. Because I was like, I mean, how much, this is so funny. How much yarn do I need?
More than you had then.
Unspun fiber right overhead.
Oh, that's what Julie calls it.
That up there is all just the unspun stuff. And then there's a whole rack of all the yarn that I didn't need.
There you go.
So I'd never been to a yarn convention. I'm like, well, I don't know. But I'd seen hand dyers and hand spinners at like Renegade or something. Well, I know they're out there. That's really cool. That's the stuff I want. And so when she said, let's do a YarnCon for them, I was like, yeah, craft show for people who actually make yarn. That blew my mind. I was still like, I'd been knitting for like 7 or 8 years at that point. I was like, people, you can make your own yarn? What?
Oh man, you can raise your own sheep?
Oh, so many of our vendors this year are farmers that are offering stuff from their own flock. I mean, Iron Wheel Farms and Ballyhoo Emporium and it's just so cool. Like you can buy a fleece online this year. It's pretty cool.
Not just wool and such. Actually, Danny from Iron Wheel has raw honey and
Yeah.
candles from her wax from her bees, and like she kind of went, all in staying home. She's like, okay, we're doing this. We're getting hives. We're doing the things. She doesn't really do
Mm.
which I love.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
actually
awesome.
reaching out to be like, hey, do you ship raw honey?
Especially because
Gonna be shipping raw honey this weekend, maybe.
Ooh.
Cal from 100 Ravens has me very, very intrigued about making mead. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Cal
Me.
has a way of instigating things, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Instigated a trade that ended up with me having this yarn.
nice way to represent. Cal's really good at negotiating those trades. So they have accused me of only knitting 100 Ravens and Why Not Fibers yarn recently.
Is
Cal's
there something?
persuasive.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'd known Cal for 5 minutes before I was like, I'm in.
So anywho, so it was called YarnCon, and it was just serendipitous that it came down from the heavens of woolly whatever
Inspiration.
inspiration. There we go. And then, but you decided it was gonna be called, but
How did we start? Honestly, we rented the hall. We rented the Pulaski Park Field House as part of the Chicago Parks District.
And we took the woman who organized the DIY trunk show out
Right.
to dinner to pick her brain because she'd already been organizing a little shows that I was in.
Cinnamon
So I was like,
Cooper. And Cinnamon Cooper is still a friend, and
she's
she's
awesome. And she's a YarnCon vendor. She sells her bags there every few years.
Hoist.
Boys, so have you ever seen the bag vendor who has the really cute little wooden ironing board as her stand where she does checkouts and she's like waxed cotton bags and stuff? That's
Her
Cinnamon. And yeah,
bags are
she
wonderful.
totally let us buy her Vietnamese food and pick her brain.
okay, so we know she can be bought for Vietnamese food. Did she trade her bags?
Her bags are really great.
That's
They
awesome.
are really great.
So you picked your brain. So you rented the hall and then picked your brain?
I don't remember the order anymore. I think we rented the hall basically on my experience there. I'm like, hey, I know it fits people and people come to the trunk show. So it's like a known space that people were used to. There was also a record show there, like for LPs.
Yeah, there was.
Long play for the
Wow.
youth
Long play, yeah.
that aren't cool enough to have vinyl.
I have a funny joke about long play in a second, but I was really familiar with the fact that lots of DIY people use that space and that people came to those shows. So I thought, well, at least it's a known entity.
Right.
You know,
Even though there's no parking, but
there
people
is
still
no
came.
parking.
They still showed up. But also, something we did that was so fun in the beginning. There's this Chicago area bank called Fillens,
Yeah.
Tillens.
Mhm.
They would park their ATM truck for free at the location of your specification. And we would basically just say, okay, we'd love to have the ATM truck in front of the Pulaski Park Fieldhouse on these days. And they would just park it there and people would go get money, go inside.
keep your
get
audience.
money.
Because this is before Wi-Fi or card readers. I know 2007 is not that long ago, but
It was
it's
fantastic.
completely different. So we didn't want anyone to leave because that neighborhood, once you leave and you're on Ashland, forget it, man. Now you're going to stop into some cool other joint. We want to keep everything.
You're gonna get yummy roasted chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
See, that's
We even did it the first year at the Plumbers Union. We did
Yes,
it
we
the
did.
first year, but then their manager said, "Oh, well, that's brilliant. We'll just get an ATM and we'll get the fees." And so they got an ATM the next year. I mean, it's crazy.
you need
Yep.
the thing, we'll give you the thing. Is that
It's just snowball.
Yeah.
oh my God.
It was funny at the Plumbers Union, like our first year, apparently the guy who runs the building was like, what convention? He's like, my wife is. And like, he came to check it out and he was still like, whoa, you can really fill this hall with people like yarn. He's like, this is awesome. And like, he was just totally won over. He brought his wife.
It's an entire subculture.
Oh, and it's really, I think, one of the most iconic things from the show, sorry for all the noise, is that people will go up on the balcony and take pictures of just the mobs of people that are on the main floor shopping, and it's just so cool to see, and just the energy in that building. And like, you know, usually I'm getting there a little bit earlier. I don't know.
You're fine, you look great.
But it's like when I usually get there early, you know, even when because I haven't vended in a long time, but I'm usually getting there early to set up for class, except for that one year. And I'll get there and I'll get to like kind of walk by all the people that are waiting in line, and it's just like, because you know what's out there, and all the vendors haven't really seen that because they're kind of hunkered down in their booths. It's just the buzz that you guys get going before the show starts. Both days, really, like the goodie bag was the thing.
The line.
That
my first year,
crazy.
The line when we got there on Saturday morning, because of course, you know, we're busted in after trying to grab food and shove coffee in ourselves, and we're like trying to find a place to park, and we're like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, it's a show, and I'm still like, wow.
I mean, they start at the door, and they go all around the block, and then you can see them out the loading dock on the other side of the building, and it's kind of incredible. And it makes
in the snow.
Makes us do crazy happy dances. Yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Like really wanted to sneak up with us in the back, and we're like,
yeah,
we're like, can we just see? And we're like, no, you have to wait.
Every year I run out there and take a little video of them, and they're like, is it about to start? I'm like, oh no, I'm just here watching you. And I'm like running out with a little camera. I'm like, no, I'm back inside.
we have some folks. I mean, so I actually don't know his real name, but he's Camper Brian on Instagram.
Yeah, it's Brian something, but yeah.
And he was a kid when we started, and now he's probably, you know, an actual adult at this point, but he's awesome. And he's often one of the first 3 or 4 people in the line with his spinning buds, you know. He's with, I think, Isis and Heavenly, and they sit and they used to sit and spin. And now Heavenly started, you know, vending with us as a mini booth, and now she's shooting off to awesomeness.
It's amazing.
I love her success. It's so exciting. And I don't know.
It's so fun because I met Heavenly at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. Oh, look, I just got it.
Nice.
I met her at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, and then I was so excited to see her at YarnCon, and then it's like all of a sudden she was just everywhere, and she's such a fun, like
she's
super
even
knowledgeable, excited person about everything yarn and making yarn, and she's so good at it.
Yeah,
I'm so impressed. She occasionally posts about her journey, like basically. She set, like, I love when she posts this drafting table picture, and she talks about she set a 5-year plan, and man, she worked toward it and she achieved it, and she's just a badass. It's really cool.
100%.
And delightful. She's so sweet.
And so sweet, and really like the nicest badass.
Yeah. I hope she hears this.
I hope so. Hi, Heavenly. Talking about you.
Just so you know, you're the nicest badass.
The nicest badass.
I love that she went from spinning to restoring wheels, and she's like doing.
Oh yeah.
It's like yes.
But I see her collection. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's great. It's so fun just to see people locally though that you like meet in a small setting too that just end up all over, and just super admirable what she's doing. Yeah.
This is making me miss everyone even more.
I know, right?
That much better. It'll make it. I'm trying here. Always look on the right side. Not the right side. I've got nothing. All done now. Okay.
No, Python always works.
What I said earlier, I was trying to kind of help you guys lead into talking about this weekend, was that, you know, last year you canceled real early. It was real early in the pandemic, so you didn't really have time or even like a roadmap to what to do. So now that you've had this year, you know, and even though I know that things did not go quite as you had planned for this year anyway, do you guys want to talk about like how things are going to run this weekend and where people can find everything?
Yes. So everything is going to be on our Facebook page. So facebook.com/YarnCon. Much like this page here that you all are on, you're going to eventually have like a live video to go to. And we are going to be introducing the vendors throughout the day. We'll pop in and out and be hovering about. And all day long, every half hour, we're going to have vendors on for both days. Concurrently on Saturday, we will also have classes. And so those will be on direct Zoom links. You won't see any links to those online because students who paid for those classes will get those links. Emily is teaching with us and we're really grateful. Thank you. And so it's not a lot of classes. We made it small this year because honestly, this isn't our forte. We're used to doing a live show. And so just like everyone else for the last year, we've been learning as we go. We kept it small, figure, baby steps, right? And we do hope to keep some amount of the hybrid component, especially in classes in the future, because as we've all learned this year, there's a lot of jobs that we can do from home or from a location that can be broadcast to people who can't join you physically. And so we hope to keep that incorporated in the future. Like we were saying about earlier about YarnCon, every year we learn a new lesson from last year and we try to incorporate it. And we keep trying to build on everything we learn because nobody's perfect and mistakes are made. Luckily, we work with a community that's really kind and forgiving and understands that we have really good intentions and we try. It's never catastrophic, but we see it, and we stress and worry any little thing. And so we always try to take those lessons and build on them. So hopefully there'll be some hybrid components next year as we all keep learning, and there'll be better technology too. I'm sure it keeps getting better as we go. But for this weekend, everything will be through our Facebook page, YarnCon, and you'll be able to go in there and find the video and, be patient with us in the mornings because Facebook is not always cooperative. And we've been testing. Sometimes it works first try, and sometimes it's like, no, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, we held a test for our vendors today. We had like 15 to 17 people over the course of an hour. It was great. We were all really excited. And then we tried to connect with one vendor later. Couldn't do it, could not connect. And I don't know if it was my Wi-Fi was not strong enough in where I was in the house or what, but it was very frustrating. So yeah, but something I was really struck by, like almost to the point of tears today during our vendor test, was the generosity of our community and the generosity of our vendors and how forgiving and understanding they can be, because we thought we were going to have one thing and this huge platform, it was going to be yay awesome, and then it turned out not to be like awesome at all, like not even cool. And so we had to pivot and change, but we did, and everybody was just waiting for us, like, yeah, let's go, we're doing it, let's go together.
Yeah. So grateful.
Oh, Sarah from Yarn Geek Fiber, she was like, can we have like a virtual location, a virtual booth where somebody can just be projected there on site?
I know. I was like,
I thought that the Sheldon booth was the best idea.
Great idea.
I can't help but, sorry, Sarah, I had to call it the Sheldon booth in my head. It's been that since earlier today.
The Sheldon booth. So okay, I feel that is some sort of
I have no idea what a Sheldon booth is.
The TV show reference, but I never watched that show, so you guys are going to have to explain it. The Big Bang.
Okay, so Sheldon decides that he's going to quarantine himself in his room and creates a video camera, like a screen on a cart, on a remote control cart, so that he can go in and interact with his roommates and friends. And so it's this screen with his giant head on it that's driving around like a TV cart.
Oh my God, I love
it.
Thanks, I love Sheldon too.
Seen Full Frontal with Sandra B. She did it with like an iPad on the front of a little robot.
Oh my God.
Around being like, can we have a hug?
We could do something like this.
Oh my God. Next year you're going to see me running around with a GoPro.
But you got to wear your headgear.
You want to see.
We're doing that. We're doing the GoPro. Totally doing the GoPro. Like Natalia Vision.
Oh man. So if you don't know the Sheldon screen, you definitely look it up, because my description it doesn't even hold any water at all compared to the reality.
Oh my gosh, I was picturing like a Star Trek, like that little virtual room they had where but no, this is even better. I love it.
Giant flat screen TV on a TV cart that's a remote control, and it would like turn.
Eventually we could do a holodeck,
That's what I was trying to think of. Thank you.
But we're not there yet. We're just not.
I have a Starfleet uniform, but it fit me when I was 11.
Oh my God.
It does not fit now.
Oh my
God. Now it'll fit truly Star Trek, right?
I used to have a Starfleet Academy sticker on the back of my car. I'm going to mute now. Okay.
But did you have a communicator?
No, but
mean,
I
we all do
thought having
now.
a Starfleet Academy sticker on my car was cool. So I'm a dork.
We were definitely nerdy. I'm sorry, you were trying to say something, Emily, before we completely outed ourselves. Quarters.
I think I was just saying that Sarah had said thanks. I love Sheldon too because she's watching us right now. Sarah from YarnCon. So it's so nice to feel a little bit closer to some people too, even through that. And I think
so much.
The whole technology thing, Kat and I have actually, obviously been talking about this a lot as we've been talking to our guests on the podcast. And one thing, when you were saying how forgiving everyone was, I was so terrified to teach online. I thought, oh my gosh, if my camera quits working or the internet goes out or whatever. And I had a lot of hiccups the first few times. And I mean, I'd get so flustered, like the level that I was when I took the wrong train the time that I showed up late to YarnCon. And I mean, that level of, oh my gosh, what's going on? And thankfully I was able to recover, but it was because everybody was so nice. They were like, it's okay. We're here for you. Take your time, and I think that in general, that's the way. And I was talking to somebody recently about it. And I said, but we've learned a lot over the last year, and maybe they're not going to be so forgiving as everything improves, But I mean, the internet is still, you never know what's going to happen because everybody's relying on it so much. And so thankfully, yeah, people have been really kind about any kind of tech issues that go
If
on.
anything I've seen is any indication, I think people are going to be even more forgiving because we all need so much grace. And I feel like reminded of that every day with my children's teachers and everybody we encounter. I mean, like this morning, my second grader, her teacher, who is the ultimate stand-up awesome teacher, she's like, my 2-year-old had a horrible night and I cannot teach because he is homesick today. And not one parent gave her any guff because of course, what are you going to do? I mean, we have all, I think our whole country, I hope anyway, has learned a lot about giving grace to everyone around us. I don't know.
I think that you're right. I feel like especially those with kids. Yeah.
I'm hoping my kid's teacher gives me grace because I failed to show up for our Zoom parent-teacher conference.
I bet you they understand.
I actually think she does.
They probably were like, phew, I don't have to be on the computer for 15 minutes.
They're like coffee break.
13 minutes I have to myself.
So they send out an email synopsis of things, and they're really concerned about anything that they usually reach out well before parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah.
So I was halfway through prepping for this, and I was like, oh. Today or yesterday? I think it was actually yesterday. So I was already too late by the time, it just happens.
Yes.
It just happens.
Oh.
And I know that when we're going in so many directions, at least I know that I can reach out to them and say, hey, if there's anything that you're concerned about, send me a thing. Anyway, but that grace, it's definitely been stolen all the ways.
Yeah, everything's still so uncertain. I mean, any day now, it's going to go all virtual again. And I didn't even send my kid back until, gosh, it's been maybe 7 weeks if you count spring break since I sent him back in person.
We have been virtual since March 12th, 2020. So, I mean, my children have not set foot in their school this whole year, and I'm okay with that. And is that in Chicago too? Is that how it's been?
We've been virtual since March 17th. We have hybrid choice in the public schools, but we haven't done it. I gave my kids the option for this very last round because I wasn't ready myself, but I thought I better ask. And they were like, no, we saw what hybrid looks like, and they're just sitting in little pods and can't talk to each other. Mm-hmm. I can talk to them more online than I can in person, so I'll go back next year. And so they're like, nah, we're used to this now. We have this. And so
we went back.
It's good or bad, but it is what it is.
The thing though, you get used to something, it's easier.
But also they saw that there was no human, the kids weren't interacting. There wasn't recess. There wasn't, they were all separate. And so they're like, we can be separate here. And so they were like, nah.
Like the introverts, let's meet separately in our own homes.
This introvert is going to have to ease back into people, let me tell you.
No, I was curious because that's actually something that I keep hearing from more and more people is, I'm not sure I'm ready to re-enter society. Someone I know, one of the coordinators from the Tip of the Bit Fiber Fair in Petoskey, Michigan, she she said, I'm gonna have to pump the brakes a few times before I go back. And I'm like, that's a great analogy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shannon
watched
Oakley,
everything. Oh, sorry.
aka Nick Girl, posted something about, she posted this hilarious old Pepsi ad that had been turned into a, getting back into society. Oh my gosh, it made me laugh so hard because it's like, introverts, you're behind again, comma, already. And I thought, that's how I feel, and I don't need that. So I'm just gonna stay here.
I'm just like, oh, once I have both shots after 2 weeks, I can go back to the dentist.
Oh.
No, maybe hiding is okay.
I mean, there was another joke about somebody who's like, well, we're both vaccinated, but we're going to a wedding, and when we get back, oh no, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna quarantine 2 weeks for the rest of my life and just be like, too many people. I gotta hide for 2 weeks. Yeah.
I actually found that this I really do well in this whole staying home environment. And I'm like, wait, what?
So now you can say like show hangover is like 3 weeks, right? Because I always say that I have a show hangover for at least 2 days after I get back from being out of town.
That's the truth.
So now you can say, oh, show hangover / quarantine for X amount of time, right? And then
Absolutely, that is
I don't have to do anything.
totally valid. Totally valid.
It is. I like this new plan.
I gotta tell you guys the comments that are coming in of all
Oh, no.
the people that are commiserating with us.
Beautiful. They're just, I mean, Sarah shared this Sheldon video so everyone could know what we were talking about.
Aw.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
Emily, tell us.
Tell us.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I totally jumped in there.
By the way, Jean says, love that GoPro on a robot. So, and the first time it hits a clog in the aisles, it beeps and the crowd parts like the Red Sea. That would be so great if you were just like tootling around.
But we would have the new Japanese tires that Kat was telling us about with the cat.
Oh, you missed that. They reinvented the wheel, but it's actually treads.
Reinvented the wheel.
Can we put a speaker on it that sounds like Andre the Giant? Everybody move!
Everybody move! Yes, just like that.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm so all of us got that one, see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was a good reference.
Princess Bride.
I'm just slightly older geekery, that's all.
Anybody want a peanut?
We'll say, as you win.
Everybody listening, I'm counting on you next year.
Known to slide down that banister at every opportunity.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that would be a
Don't
good
tell your
banister.
insurance
I mean, you'd have to be real careful, but it would work, I think.
If only it were a fireman's hall and we had a fireman's
Oh
pole.
my gosh, that would be great. That would be the ultimate yarn bomb all the way
Amazing.
up the pole.
You ladies, oh my goodness.
No, a lot of people were saying, like Sarah said, what, quarantine? I was born for this. And another was like, Nicole says, exactly, it was finally my time. So, you know.
Me too. Me too. Seriously. I have not had lower levels of stress ever in my life. This has been, I feel kind of guilty like admitting this, but this has been my year. I mean, just seriously, people, sorry.
To feel good about what works for you, because it's like survivor's guilt. It doesn't help anybody. So you do you, and when you can help other people, do that, but you do that too. So there you go. You're welcome.
I have made serious progress on a Fair Isle sweater, and I've lost 40 pounds of weight. So I don't know what to tell you, but I like the quarantine.
Wow. I think that having middle schoolers, they're wonderful humans.
Sometimes.
They need, most of the time. I mean, you missed this, Emily, but when I was in the tech test with these ladies earlier, my daughter brought me fresh baked cookies.
She did.
Your daughter brings you fresh baked cookies almost every time I talk to you if she's home.
She makes them about once a week. This is
I need
why I gained your 40
I need
pounds.
to be friends with Sadie. I need to be friendly with Sadie somehow. Just like
Friendly, And she actually helped me vend her first fiber show 2 years ago at Tip of the Mint Fiber Fair. She came up and was a helper along with Claire's son, Alex. And so the two of them were like,
That's awesome.
seriously, I will hire her, because she's like, okay, so I should tell people what they're looking for. I'm like, yeah, make suggestions. She's like, oh, what's your favorite color? Awesome. Do you like alpaca, or what weight do you want? Oh, here you go. And like puts it in their hand. And I'm just like,
Best salesperson ever.
and she's short and cute.
Because if they touch it, it's
It's
all
like
over.
It's all done.
Early on at the Plumbers Hall, Rita Pettis from Yarn Hollow and Emily Parsons from Sophie's Toes, they had kids the same age, and also Jala Spiro from Knit Circus. All their kids would hang out, and it was so fun to see like the next generation of potential, yarn dyers hanging out. And
Sophia even had her little plushies, I think, for years.
yeah, Sophia, and now they're so big. I can't believe how big they are.
I think she's 16. I saw her maybe like 6 months ago because Rita and I share a studio.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw her maybe that long ago. And I was just like, oh my God, how is this happening?
It's crazy.
I remember her being just tiny.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I love when the kids at yarn shows connect. It's cool.
And they transition into the
They're like, our parents are crazy and like fuzz.
Seriously.
They bond over our madness.
My kids think it's normal that everybody loves lots of yarn and fiber and has bins of it in their home.
I think I have a picture somewhere of our first year in the Plumbers Union in the morning. I think it was like the Sunday morning before the show started. So everyone was set up, and Lindy was holding your baby Charlotte. Charlotte was still a newborn. And it was like, how is that even possible? But it was 2013, right? So
She literally grew up in YarnCon.
Well, 2013 maybe would have been Matilda.
oh, maybe it was Matilda.
She was like 4 months old that first
Right.
year at the Plumbers Union. Oh my
And,
gosh.
and she wasn't screaming, so maybe it was Matilda. Because I mean, Charlotte, you'd let go of
I was
Charlotte.
always screaming.
Nope. She would take one look at me and be like, the eyes would get wet fast.
Everybody.
Actually,
She's my pal now, though.
the first year I vended at the Plumbers Hall, which I think was the first year it was there.
I think so.
I remember the fear in your eyes. I'm so sorry.
It was like the first time I had
You shoved her
left,
right up front.
and it was also, well, it was the first time I'd left for a couple of days without him. And it actually it marked when we stopped nursing.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
And it was actually kind of nice because it got me away.
Yeah.
So that because we were both ready, I think, but it's funny that our YarnCon is kind of revolved around kids.
Oh, yeah.
With all of that.
I
And it was nice that you
remember-
took a year off because I didn't miss one when I had mine.
I hadn't even done my first fiber show in 2012. That was actually the year that we had a house fire, and so I didn't do anything except live, and decided that it was kind of like the so be year for me with the business, where I was like, okay, is this a hobby? Is this a business? What am I doing with it? And what? Okay. And I think it was 2014 that I did, 2015, maybe it was 2015. I'm trying to remember what my first year at YarnCon
I
was.
think it was 2014 because I don't think
Think
it was that
so.
long after.
Sounds like, I think 2014. I can look it up for
Think
sure
so.
because I keep track of that kind of thing. But yeah.
Right, because you've got those records and things.
Oh, yeah. I have all of the programs.
So I think it was
Funny,
this
at our very second YarnCon, so our first YarnCon was the only year that neither of us had kids yet. In fact, Sarah was planning her wedding 2 weeks later. 'Cause-
After 2 weeks after our first YarnCon.
yeah. So second YarnCon,
this one was-
Victor was 4 months old, 3 months old. So when you came into the Pulaski Park Fieldhouse, there was like a little reception kind of information table. I would
Yeah.
hide behind the table so I could lean over head only
Pump.
questions while
God.
pumping.
That's right.
I pumped through the whole show. And so I would just look at people like from here up and be like, yes, no, you go right over
We
there.
had a hand pump. So she was
I had
like
a
doing
hand I'm
this.
just like, I pumped through the whole day, just giving people information, like, go right over there. Chuk, chuk, chuk.
Yeah.
No one.
And then, like every year after that, we were like, I'm pregnant. You're pregnant. I'm pregnant. You're Finally, it stopped.
Yeah.
We figured out what was causing it, and we
Oh, thank goodness.
Stop that.
Finally, it stopped is hilarious.
the onslaught of babies.
This is
a flood of babies.
At Pulaski Park, that meant every year one of us couldn't move tables because we were pregnant. And so there were 3 of us moving stuff because Lindy was doing it. And Lindy also had a baby for one of them. So like every year, 2 out of 3 of us were like, okay, you sit it out, we'll move it. And our husbands would.
Can I just say, okay, Scott Wilson, Lane Ware, Michael Sinclair, they are good men. They are
Yes, they
very
are.
good humans. They seriously put in
Yeah.
some time.
They
Yeah.
put up with so much shenanigans over this. Yes.
It's probably a really good time to call out how amazing your volunteers are too.
Oh
though.
my God.
Oh my God. Team Awesome volunteers are amazing.
Everyone. I mean, okay, Lauren,
Every volunteer.
Lane LeBon, they are the cream of the crop. And everyone else too. I mean, we have so many
Lisa
good ones.
Whiting, so many. And Lisa's been a vendor, a teacher, a volunteer.
I mean, the thing is at the field house, not only was parking a nightmare, but also
Total
you had to go up a bunch of steps no matter what way you went about it.
Yeah, because
And-
the ramp was nuts. The ramp was
Yeah, and
even
I
harder
thought,
than
oh
the
my gosh,
steps.
how am I going to get my stuff inside? And your volunteers were like, we got it. And they just grabbed stuff. And I mean, I think it took me longer to find a parking space than it did to get all my stuff out of the car.
And we were so new, and they were just so invested in helping us this completely new thing. And they were like, "We're in. We want this too." I guess. And it
That's
was,
how we met Lindy. Lindy was a volunteer at the very first YarnCon.
yeah, we didn't know her before.
Yeah,
Yarn.
I met her at the door. Like, we're like, they're gonna unlock it soon and we'll go inside. And hi, I'm Sarah. Hi, I'm Lindy. I mean, that's really like, it's just so much happened.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, year 2, I think she came up with so many suggestions for us during the show that after the show, Sarah and I were like, "Can we just rope her into this for a while?"
Get her some Vietnamese food.
Right?
Which, you know, like because of meeting Lindy through you guys, it's how I became friends with her. And then, I mean, I've like roomed with Lindy a couple times, and she picked me up here in Michigan on the way to Rhinebeck a few years ago, and we just rode
That's
together
right.
all the way in. Yeah. And you know, like, but we've stayed a few Airbnbs and done puzzles half the night before going back to Wisconsin sheep and wool.
Lindy got mad at me because of the sparkle yarn.
Oh no.
She came into my booth and she went stalked out of my booth, and she like came back and she's like picks up. She goes, "I'm mad at you. I'm gonna have to buy this, and I don't buy sparkle yarn.
Sparkle yarn.
You know,
That is all your fault."
I remember this because she was mad about it even after the fact and told me all about it.
I'm gonna guess that it was orange. Was it orange yarn?
I
It
think
had
it-
to be.
I don't think it was.
I don't know.
It was orange, and I think that might have been part of the problem too. It wasn't
color.
predictable. This was not a predictable color for her, and she was just livid because I did this to her. How could I? And I was like, I mean, I clearly planned ahead that I was going to meet you this year, and secretly developed this color that you couldn't resist. There's pheromones. There's pheromones.
Oh my God, pheromones and yarn. That would be so dangerous. Holy crap.
I already like snort this stuff as I'm walking through. I was like, what is it with yarn and wanting to smell the sheepiness? Like, that's the beauty of real wool and silk and like real critter yarn. Is it like, oh yeah, it
So
smells.
when you get it wet though, it's
Love it.
less fun smelling.
I'd still
I was watching Fleece
No
today.
mohair. It's no
The
mohair.
mohair you gotta be a little more careful about.
Mohair, it's gonna smell like a buck no matter what. I don't
No,
know. There's something about it.
And honestly, mohair, I'm just gonna like, if I knit and I make a mistake, like, it's lost to history. I cannot find that.
Well, you didn't make
But no one can find the mistake either.
You can't see it.
Under the mohair.
There is no mistake. It's all just fuzz.
That was a design feature.
I actually, a friend of mine who has a yarn shop, she has goats. And she was like, yep, I'm just, even after I get my second vaccine, I'm not hugging everybody. I'm just going to not shower. I'm like, oh, you could just hang out with the goats. Wait, you already do that.
We love goats.
Thanks, Jessica. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I've missed though about shows. One of the things I've missed about shows the most, obviously seeing people and interacting and everything, but buying fleece in person. Fortunately, I was able to go to a shearing a couple weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago, and I got one. But man, I was like jonesing for that like fresh fleece smell and the lanolin and like getting my hands all greasy and everything going through the fleece sales. And yeah, it's a problem. Oh, the sheep.
2 years ago,
The raw sheep.
2 years ago, Natalia came out. I mean, this is pre-pandemic. Natalia and her brought her boys, and we took all of our children to a shearing.
Oh, it was a former vendor. They have a really cute name.
It was like Happy Goat Lucky.
Yeah.
Bridget.
She has
Yes. And we each bought a fleece, and oh my gosh, and it went through Stonehenge Mill. And oh my God, it was so much fun. But it was so fun and we're like, hey kids, you want to skirt this fleece? And they're like, no. But we're like, yeah, we do anyway. Yeah, skirt cleaning and skirting. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
that's what we started thinking. That's what
my oldest son was like, I'm gonna go talk to that goat over there while you guys touch this stuff. I don't even
It was awesome.
You'd rather be around the animals anyway.
Yeah. Oh, the babies.
Because it was
April, so there were babies. It was wonderful, it was baby lamb.
Yeah, we're talking to Bridget next month.
Oh, cool.
We are.
That's great.
Next month. And actually, I just bought my second round of fleece from her for the Superior yarn that I produce, which is her organic merino wool, processed at Stonehenge.
Yay.
And it's a sport weight. And so that just got sent up. And I'm hoping next year I actually get to go for this shearing because
yeah.
Because totally.
She does. But we are going to get to talk to her, and I don't know, depending on how things go, Tip of the Mint Fiber Fair is hoping to maybe do outdoor or distance or something in class.
That would be awesome. We'll see.
I mean, I'm like cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, that's fair. You get to be.
Yep.
I'll go for it. But yeah,
And I think we've all hit a point where we know that, and if it doesn't happen, it's for the best. We'll wait. But I mean, it's kind of nice to be optimistic again a little bit.
I'm like trying to not.
And I mean, I haven't even knit that whole fleece worth of yarn yet, so
Nope.
I need to
That's a lot of yarn.
see another shearing.
I want to dye it. So, okay, I bought some Mother Mackenzie's dye kit just because I'm not a dyer.
Ooh.
But that's
I'm excited about that. Tell me more.
Same. I'm like,
I'm super excited about it. I found it on the Clemis and Clemis site, and
Yes.
it's super affordable for what you get. You get, I think, 6 little vials of beautiful dye and recipes for dyeing and things. And I mean, I am a complete novice. I have never dyed anything other than Kool-Aid, so I'm not.
Well, I mean, that's definitely a dye.
Well,
It is. No, I know.
And
And
you have to have a date, Sarah.
it
who
does.
do you know in your area that might know this stuff?
And it smells
I have a
great.
dye studio.
I know.
I'm fully vaccinated.
So I have this beautiful little kit of dye that's sitting on my shelf in my studio, but I will get the gumption up at some point and play around with it. But I do want to dye the yarn that I got from Bridget because it just seems like that's what I should do with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I think Judith Mackenzie formulated those dyes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's where they came from. So I think I don't know if they're sold anywhere else besides the Clemis guys. I haven't seen them anywhere, but
I think it's just them.
I think they launched it, right after everything hit. So we haven't had a chance to see where else we might see them. I guess.
I didn't
I'm
realize
really
that.
interested in them because
That's cool.
I'm sure they're fabulous. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and since you know a gal, she can bring your emotional support dyer.
It is
I think I
good
know
to
a
have
few-
a local dyer
Yeah,
to play
we have
with
a few.
because they have the equipment. Like I've done that. When I was pregnant with Victor, I dyed a bunch of yarn with Vera Videnovich, who's been a vendor with us for a long time and always teaches the drop spindle class. And were you there the day that a bunch of us, Sarah, we went over to her apartment. She made us coffee and like coffee cake.
That was
And we dyed up
so
some yarn.
much fun.
Yeah, and
Yes.
so since she was set up for it, we went and did it with her. And I remember because I was pregnant, she was like, "Stay away from the powder. I don't want you near the powder." She was like super careful. I'm like, okay. Not doing professional levels of this, but no. And I think second YarnCon or the one where I was pregnant with Isaac, I wore a cape out of that yarn that I dyed.
Yes. We have the picture of you like taking a picture in the balcony. with the
Yeah.
capelet. Yeah.
Because both shows had good balconies. One balcony we couldn't really use for vendors, but it was a great lookout.
It's beautiful.
So you don't need to
Shows
purchase.
have to have a WPA mural somewhere in the building.
That's right. That's right. You know, it's not Chicago if you don't have a WPA mural somewhere.
No, I heard something about one year you dressed up as a plumber.
So yes, I think it was like
are-
2018, 2017. Maybe it was the
We are 10th, the 10th, yeah, the birthday, the 10th
It was
anniversary.
so you know how in the Plumbers Union Hall, for anyone who's not familiar, on one of the main stairwells, there's this big mural of the skyline of Chicago, the Buckingham Fountain, and this plumber standing over all of it, like in front of all of it, arms outstretched, and it's the plumbers protect the health of the city or nation. I don't remember the exact wording, but basically plumbers are important. They keep our water healthy. In a white button-down shirt and overalls, arms outstretched. So for the birthday year, I got myself some little blue overalls and a white button-down shirt. And I didn't say anything, but man, the vendors picked up on it like that. Like everyone's like, "Oh my God, zombie plumber!" We call him the zombie plumber because it's from the 1930s. It's faded, you know. So he looks pale and ghastly. I'm sure if you
Ghastly, what a
look on page,
I mean,
you'll see
undead,
pictures of
the
this guy.
undead plumber.
Like,
Undead
he's
plumber.
Every year. Well, and thanks to Yarn Geek, he's called the Undead Plumber.
That's-
For the
that's right.
birthday color, she named the
She did.
yarn Undead Plumber for the zombie plumber. We had a bunch of people who, there were a few, there was a zombie plumber and an undead plumber, but I love it. So I dressed up as him. And I was delighted when people actually caught on to my nonsense. So I was like, it's YarnCon cosplay.
I will tell you that Sarah immediately all caps undead plumber in the comments.
She was one of the dyers. She was one of you sweet folks who dyed some yarn for our 10th anniversary. It was awesome.
You know, and like I always think about like what wacky antics we could get up to in general at YarnCon because like, man, I always loved like that dress, that giant dress.
Oh, the
Wendy's
Wendy's Knitting Guild had.
Yeah, that was so cool. It was just such a like neat centerpiece of the show. And
It was brilliant. I
Well-
missed the dress because for people who hadn't seen it, it was this big like mannequin form, and it was for you to just go and knit onto. So the dress grew at every event because they had yarn and needles surrounding it, and you just kept adding to it and adding to it. And they ended up with 2 of them.
oh man.
But the
Yeah.
leadership changed and they kind of dropped it, and it was a shame.
I feel like the first one was named Polly Cotton, and then the second one had a different
Yes.
name. You know, just different plays on words.
And maybe we need to come up with something for the
We
next
might.
show.
It was very fun.
Pick up the
We-
torch.
Well, I think we do have to do some collaborative again, because and then Lisa Whiting did a collaborative event on our stage one year where everyone sat in a circle and grabbed needles, and everyone was circular knitting on a huge piece. And she worked it out so it still stayed a united piece with like 8 to 12 different people knitting at the same.
So cool.
And so it was collaborative. It was this. So yeah, we need a new community. We need to brainstorm.
Yeah.
Well, there was one year where the yarn bombed the balcony too. You know?
Yes,
And
we had
I
some
just-
students come in.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know. maybe-
Oh,
And a lot of that comes out of the community, people coming up with neat ideas and coming to us. With the students who yarn bombed, it was their art teacher who came up to me and said, "Hey, I have this idea. Can we come do it?" And we, come on over. Yeah, that's great. They were
Here's my
really cool
ideas.
kids, and you know.
so the Undead Plumber and the Kingdom of the Porcelain Throne? That's
Well,
Sarah.
yeah. That's the amazing
man.
thing about having an event at the plumbers union is that the toilets and the water faucets are always ship shape.
Oh yeah, and the water fountains on every floor by all the entrances. That's why we had the water bottles. We're like, why should anyone have disposable anything in this building? We have plumbing.
Oh,
Exactly.
I can.
Oh, YarnCon water bottle.
You mean like this?
Just like that. But
Beautiful.
really, that was born out of our desire to keep our vendors hydrated in a building with really good plumbing. We're like, why do we throw any plastic out in this building?
Yeah. There's no need.
No.
And also their one downfall is the recycling's not great. And it's not entirely their fault. Chicago is just a recycling joke.
Chicago is pretending it recycles.
But oh my God, you guys are playing.
I think everywhere is pretending.
I kind of think so too. and it
It's
makes
true.
me
It's true.
sad.
If anyone watches John Oliver, he had a very enlightening and depressing.
Mhm. Yes, it was very depressing.
It was like, oh,
Very
ridiculous.
telling that I get for the last for about 4 years I got my news from John Oliver and Trevor Noah and Sandra B.
An early Daily Show ad used to be more people get their news from us than probably should.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, but also let me tell you about the other lovely things that you can get. Oh, I think this might actually. There we go.
Look at you.
Did you just break your mannequin?
No.
Okay.
It just pulls out because I have wool wedged in it. So this is Lurna. We call all of our mannequins Lurnas because there was some Greek goddess who was beheaded named Lurna. And so we didn't want to call them dummies. And mannequin takes too long, so they've all been called Lurnas, but then we have a little child-sized one, but that one is Ernie because I couldn't name it Lurna because it's a child. Anyway, so Lurna got her t-shirt today in the mail. So I'm totally gonna talk about the swag here for YarnCon because they still have swag and you can get your very own swag and it can even be swag that'll fit you and not my mannequin. So this actually fits me. I fudged
Oh,
it.
does it?
Yes, it does, but I fudged it with pins because my son's clothes would fit her.
And we have tote bags.
Oh,
And for anyone joining us tomorrow night, so we're going to throw up a link tonight or tomorrow morning for a little just informal knit night over Zoom. But we might be asking you questions that if you answer, I'll send you a tote bag.
And that link will be on the YarnCon Facebook, right?
Yes, I will link that on the YarnCon Facebook.
what's the name of the kingdom?
Wait, what?
Polyester cotton, right? I am really, really loving the comments. They're making me so happy. There's so much giggling. I'm gonna see if I can actually get her back in her stand. This is the real test. I can free her, but can I get hey! There's
Did we ever name our mannequin that wears the YarnCon t-shirt? I don't know if we ever gave her a name. She gets seatbelted into my car every year.
I know, really should name her. Maybe we should hold a contest to name her.
We should. Maybe the best name tomorrow get some YarnCon swag. Get thinking,
Half Lurnas
everybody.
and quarter Lurnas, which the half Lurnas are a full body width, but they're only half width. And the quarter Lurnas are only this tall, and it's basically just the bust and the neck.
Hilarious.
So, anywho, we are actually at almost 20 after 8 Eastern time, 20 after 7.
I mean, we really didn't get started until 20 after.
Well, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
That is a
We
good
gave
point.
you your hour's worth.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I mean, we'll take more, but I think that that Emily might have to bow out at some point, or we can just totally wrap it up so you guys can actually get some rest before you start the madness tomorrow.
It will be a little crazy. In a very good.
I mean,
Sarah just said that Bob says she has a womannequin.
Oh, mannequin.
her name is
Mannequin.
God.
Absolutely.
I love it.
I picked up at a yard sale this very masculine mannequin torso, Ben, and I picked after I got him, I told my husband that I got this, and I was like, I've got Sven, he's very firm. Because it was this very, because I'm always like, I don't have all of these effeminate mannequins. I feel like I need to have, more variety in my mannequins.
That's so funny.
So Sven, who is very firm and muscular, but has no arms.
Cooperative Press has a similar mannequin in their studio where Shannon Oki over the years has posed a lot of the knitwear, but it had a unicorn mask on it, so it became the Manicorn. I think its poor unicorn head kind of fell apart, so Manicorn is kind of in limbo, but that was always my favorite part of coming through Cooperative Press.
There's so many things that could happen from this now. But
Well, do you guys have anything else you think you need to throw out there tonight that people might need to hear?
Just thank you so much for having us. And it's so fun to just sit and chat. Really, really lovely.
I hope we can do it without it being live for
Yes. But in the meantime, join us tomorrow all day for vendors and classes, and then 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, we'll be putting up a link for a Zoom chat. And it's just, super hangout, bring your yarn, cocktail if you're up for it, whatever, and just get to laugh like this.
Promise no cardinals tomorrow. I'll be inside.
Can you keep that?
And come up with some good names for our ladykins,
Snow
please.
White.
So that we can
Oh, good names to your ladykin, or
Yeah.
for the project ideas.
Oh.
We need project ideas.
Hmm. And we can talk about the yarn that we bought all day and plan to buy tomorrow. So
Yeah, and also for anyone watching, if you didn't know, Kat and I will be live again Sunday morning before festivities start for a little coffee hour with Hannah Thiessen. Did I say her name right? Oh, gosh. That's what happens when we're live. I'm like, oh,
Hannah
no.
Thiessen, who is the author of Slow Knitting and Seasonal Slow Knitting, which I have. And seasonal slow knitting is like an almanac for knitters, and you start at whatever part of the year it is and has that piece that's appropriate for that season. She also has been involved in Knit Crate, by hand, all kinds of awesome
nice.
fibery things and farm to needle things and slow fashion things. And she's just super nice and fun, and agreed to come and have coffee with us, which I don't know if any of you caught our Instagram reels.
It is dark matter, okay? Because
I love your reels were wonderful. I love those.
and so we were talking and I was like, gosh, that coffee was good. And then we were like, we could have the coffee with the coffee hour. So we both ordered some.
We got some to Hannah, which the tracking says it got there today. So we're all gonna have dark matter coffee, which is also a YarnCon sponsor. So we totally wanted to like pitch it at them also. And I've already gone through half the bag. I was very caffeinated yesterday.
Oh, yeah. It's because I've been at the studio. I left it at home and I've been drinking my Kalamazoo Coffee Company at the
I
studio.
put it in the grinder, and that may have been the failing.
Yeah, that'll
I
do.
didn't put it all in the grinder, but I'll still have some for Sunday, and Hannah's gonna have some. And it's quite possible that I'll print off a sticker and like stick it on my forehead, or probably my coffee cup, not my forehead. But that's one thing.
That's dedication.
And I've got my swag, so I don't even know what I'm wearing on Sunday. Oh, it'll be nice and easy.
Thanks so much, you guys, for making time tonight. I know that this weekend, even though it's not in person, is still a big undertaking, anytime you organize anything. And thanks for bringing everybody together this year for it. I'm really excited to see the parts that I can watch this weekend.
Hey.
Hopefully, be careful with my wallet.
I always tell myself that, and then I come home with like a little bit of caveat.
Oh my God. Always. Yes. I always go over budget. I always do. But maybe I budget now to go over budget. So I don't know.
What's a budget with you?
A little bit of
It's
caveat.
a budget.
It's a myth. It's a myth in my
The
world.
yarn fumes that can come through even online.
True.
The pheromones.
Yeah.
There are pheromones. The
Maybe we should make this
Lindy, if you watch this, it is all your fault. Now it's your fault, not my fault anymore. So no, it's probably not my fault. But thank you so much, and everybody
Thanks for having us.
commenting and watching on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. This has
Thank
been
you.
really fun.
Mwah.
It was super fun. Yay. Thank you.
So fun. So good to see everybody. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.